Hey everybody, it's me, Anthony, back again once again. And, well, you finally caught me at beginning a new series. And today, well, from this point forth, you should call me Mr. Handler, because now I'm gonna be your teacher. Welcome to the Redstone School. I hope you are going to like this. So, what are we gonna do in our Redstone School? It sounds as basic as you can get it. The Redstone School is going to be a series of many lessons on how to, well, do redstone. And, well, I might even make a book about it if I want to, but it's highly unlikely. But, well, this series is going to consist of 4 chapters. This is gonna be the first chapter, the basics, where today we're gonna be, and for the next few lessons, well, no, actually, the first chapter is just going to be this, is that I'm going to explain the basics of redstone, and using that, I'm going to continue teaching you how to make redstone, basically. So today's gonna be chapter 1, basics, where we're gonna go over all of the redstone components. What do they do? How they function? How they can be exploited? And, well, what you can do with them, we're gonna discuss in the next video, at the beginning of chapter 2, which is construction, which is where I'm going to start teaching you about the various circuits of the Minecraft world on and of the redstone wiring, how you make them, what they do, and overall. In the third chapter, being in contraptions, I'm going to be showing you how to make various contraptions for various different needs. And in the fourth, it's gonna be a test for all of you. It's gonna be I'm gonna send out a test on my possibly future Twitter or Instagram page, and the one who passed in the players who passed the test correctly will receive a special prize. You'll be waiting for it. But anyways, today, this is going to be lesson 1 of chapter 1 on basics. Today, we'll be showing you redstone components. So, let's start off with the most typical redstone component, being redstone dust. As you can see, this is what it looks like on the ground. In the inventory, this is what it's gonna look like. To place it down, you just, well, place, and, well, it's nothing to brag about. Well, it drops from witches, and you can acquire it through mining the redstone ore. From regular mining, you can acquire it from pieces from 2 to 5. But that's not particularly anything exciting. So, now let me show you a few interesting facts. So, the first interesting fact is that, well, obviously, they can be powered. But, well, any redstone user should know that 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, is that they can only be powered up to 15 blocks in range. For example, let me show. So currently we have a 15 block redstone lane. If I place down on a redstone wiring component, it will light up. It will start working. However, if I place an extra one, it will not. So when you're building redstone contraptions, make sure you have that in mind. And the pieces that I just used, we're going to discuss in a little bit. And you saw that torch that I just used, right? Well, it is what we like to call, at these parts, for redstone torch. Let me just get an item for you. So, the redstone torch is, as you would expect, a torch made of redstone. And you craft it, in a crafting table in any of the slots with 1 bit of redstone dust and one stick, like this. And essentially what redstone torches do, they serve as power sources. They can be... However, they also have an interesting ability, is that if something is powering a redstone torch, it'll actually switch off. That's how it's gonna do. It can be used in many different interesting ways. However, how we use those, we're probably gonna discuss in the future. Should have been prepared for more places, but whatever. Anyways, next we have this thing. Now, this thing is called a repeater. Now, what do we... Now, it's not actually all that obvious from the name, since it doesn't actually repeat anything. But what it does do is that it allows us to extend a pulse that was already ongoing. So, say for example, you are having your redstone lane, and you need to power something. But oh no, look at this. Well, the component you're supposed to power is more or blocks away than you need it to be. Well, that's where the repeater comes into the rescue. Is that it extends the reach it can do. It can make the pulse, and you make the pulse. And, well, you can basically make infinite lanes with it. However, you should note that redstone repeaters have something to do known as ticks. Let's discuss what ticks do. Ticks are basically pulse terms, and pulsive terms are, well, what you describe to measure pulses. Well, one tick is equal to 1 nanosecond. Oh, no, not nanosecond, sorry. To 1 millisecond. It's equal to 1 millisecond. And, well, what do you do with that millisecond, you may ask? Well, as you can see, this repeater has, like, the second part of it, like the second stick, is kind of like a lever. And you're correct. You can actually switch it to 4 different settings. This one will do 1 tick, this one will do 2 ticks, this one will do 3, and this one will do 4. And, well, the repeaters not only allow you to extend signals, but also allow you to delay them by a certain amount of ticks. That way you can actually stack them and make so they have different pulses. So, for example, say we have 3 ticks here, and we have 7 ticks here. Here are settings 1 and 2, and this are 4 and 3. Actually, no, I think we'll leave this will be my... So, here's how it works. As you can see, this lamp lit up first because, well, the amount of ticks here is less than here. And so, it delays the pulse way less. The way we'll be able to use it, we'll discuss in a future episode. And as you also saw here, it not only shows you that not only can you extend how a pulse connects, but also how a pulse gushes out. So, you can make delayed switches. And also, the crafting recipe is fairly straightforward. 2 redstone torches, 1 redstone dust, and 3 move stone. Next, let's move on to this thing, the comparator. Now, what does this thingamajigga do? Well, it's probably one of the more complex pieces of redstone machinery, in that this thing, well, it has plenty of different uses. Now, the way you craft it is, as you can see showing on screen, is 3 redstone torches, 1 redstone dust, and where's quartz? Oh, there's another quartz. Oh, actually, no. Instead of redstone, we need quartz, in fact. Oh, yeah. But we still do need stone. And if you were to view it in a crafting table, as you can see, well, yeah, you get a recipe. It's 3 torches, 1 quartz, and 3 stone. Now, enough dilly-dally about items. Let's actually discuss what the comparator does. Now, what does the comparator do? Well, the comparator has plenty of uses. And the first use is probably as straightforward as you would think. Judging from its name, comparator, it compares in what kind of, well, like, it compares the amount of signal that it has. For example, say we have a signal here of 6. Here we have a signal of 3. Huh? Did I link it wrong? Huh? Well, never mind. So, well, what it's meant to do is that it actually can compare the amount of pulse that you have within it. For example, say you have a pulse of 12 on one side and a pulse of 9 on another. 12 minus 9, it will give out a pulse of 3. However, that's not the only use. Another use that it has is that it can also detect items inside of containers. For example, chests and hoppers. For example, say we put 64 crafting tables in here. It will tell us that there's 64 crafting tables in here. Or say in here we put 64 item frames. It'll also detect that. That can be very useful in certain contraptions. However, we'll discuss that in future episodes. However, that's not all that it can do. We can also loop a signal like this. And if we give it a very short pulse... Oh, sorry, did it a little wrong. I said, give it a very short... Wait. What's going on? Well, what it's supposed to do is that it's supposed to lock it in and make lingering throughout the system. However, it just doesn't seem to work. That's strange. Anyways. So, maybe the comparator doesn't have that many uses in Pocket Edition, but it has quite a few in other versions. Anyways, moving away from wiring tits and bits, we'll move on to the power sources. And the first one we'll be taking a look at is the lever. The way you craft this baby is fairly straightforward. It's anywhere in the craft table with one stone at the bottom and one stick at the top. Now, what the lever does, it's pretty straightforward. It gives you off a signal as soon as it's flicked to the correct side. Nothing really to see here. It's mainly meant to be a control power source. Next, we move on to something a bit more interesting. And that is what's called a daylight sensor. Now, how we craft this thing? This thing is actually pretty complicated to craft. What you need is the following. You need any wooden slabs at the bottom. This is another craft that requires quartz, so be prepared to see this quite a few times. 3 quartz in the middle, and sliding across the top, we need 3 bits of any glass. Doesn't matter which one, but it just is. Now, how do these things work? Well, these things, as you would expect, give off a signal with a certain time of day. We currently have day always on, or also has a night mode. But if we turn it off, for example, if we turn off always day and type in a certain time, for example, at sunrise, it'll only give off this much signal. If we set it to somewhere like day, it'll give a little more signal. At noon, this is when it's gonna give off the best. Keep pressing the wrong button. And well, it will start weakening again the further it goes down. And this is the weakest when the night setting comes in. So during sunset, it only gives off like 1, 2 maybe bits of light, of redstone light. During night, it gives off this much signal. And, well, unfortunately, this is about as much as it can give us because, well, the night setting is actually weaker than the day setting. So, yeah. However, so that you can see what we set it today, well, they aren't used too much, but still a few redstone contraptions this will be used in. Alright, moving on ahead, next we have the buttons. And well, crafting them is as straightforward as it can seem. There's 2 variants, a wooden one and a stone one. If you craft them both in the same way, the wooden one obviously requires wood. There's 6 variants of it, 1 of each kind. Added it's not too long ago. And for the stone one, we need stone. And buttons that, just like levers, are basically power sources. They're just as straightforward as they look. If we place them down, we can hit them both, and they'll give off signals. However, one thing to note is that the stun button stays up for 10 ticks or 1 second. However, the wooden button takes 15 ticks to pull through its pulse. So, when you're making redstone constructions, keep in mind that you'll have slightly more time using wood buttons and not stone buttons. And well, next we have pressure plates. And pressure plates are, well, they're just as easy to craft, honestly, in terms of resources. You need anywhere in the crafting table 2 bits of wood for the wooden one, and you also need 2 bits of stone for the stone one. And no, I did not forget about the iron or golden pressure plates. However, they just have so little use that, well, they're just not worth going over. However, if you want me to go over them, I might maybe in the next video as a short income. And as you saw that wandering trader demonstrating us, they work the same way. You just step on them and they give off a signal. However, enough power sources. Next, let's talk about gizmos that use said head powers. And those being plenty of different ones. With the first ones being the piston and the sticky piston. And pistons are usually a crafting recipe that many Minecraft players have slipped out of their mind. But if you don't know, it's 3 wood at the top, 2 cobblestone on each side, 1 ingot of iron at the center, and 1 dot of redstone at the bottom. And in order to make yourself a sticky one, the recipe just doesn't change. All you really need is to shove a regular piston and add a slime ball to it. Anywhere in the crafting table. Make sure the slime ball is always above. Now, how do they work? They work the way in that by their design, you can probably tell that didn't mean to place that they thrust blocks forward when they're extended. However, here's a catch. A regular piston will retract and not take the block with it. However, a sticky piston, thanks to the slime, will also retract it. However, one thing should be noted is that you can't ever push more than 12 blocks in reach. So as you can see, we have 11 blocks here. A piston can still push them just fine. However, we have 12 here. He still can push them just fine. Or if we place a 13th block, he can no longer push them. The sticky piston works the same way. I can even demonstrate it. Here we have 12 blocks. They're pushed just fine. 13th block. Okay. Tough luck. Well, and you get the picture. And when combined with slime blocks, which we'll be not going over in this video, they work the same way. Anyways, next up, we have dispensers and droppers. Now, dispensers and droppers are actually very similar items, however, are confused quite a lot. So, let's go over them. So, one of the reasons they're confused is that they're crafted both very similarly, because they both require either 7 cobblestone in a pants-shaped pattern, 1 bit of redstone at the very bottom. However, the dispenser also requires a bow to be placed in the middle. Just like that. I'll delete that later. Anyways, so, how did the piston and the dispenser work? I said it. I was meant to say dispenser and dropper, sorry. Anyways, the dispenser and the dropper, while they both do the same thing, at least similar thing, is that they chuck out items at the, well, for example, we place this and hook them both up to redstone, they'll both chuck out their respective item. However, it gets a bit more interesting than that. Because, well, with certain items, they use the item. The dispenser uses that item, while the dropper only, well, drops it. Let me show you. For example, if you have a bucket of water in there, then and if we power them both, you can see that the dispenser has dispensed the water that was around. However, the dropper only dispensed the bucket. So, yeah. And this is going to come in play with many contraptions in the future. Now, moving along, next we have a very interesting tidbit, and one of the most important tidbits, being the hopper. Now, the way to craft a hopper is fairly straightforward, although it should be talked about. Where are my item frames? Did I chuck them somewhere? Oh, I replaced them by accident. Whoops, sorry. Anyways, the hopper is crafted in the following way. What we need is a chest, a regular chest, don't confuse with trap chests, and we need 5 iron ingots. Where are they? There they are. Going in this kind of V shape. And what the hopper does is that, well, it's basically is that it collects items that are dropped into it. So, for example, see this iron? Well, it went into it. And it also powers comparators, as we saw earlier. And that will also come into play in the future. Now, next up is one of the most interesting bits in the entire game, the Observer. Now, how does the Observer get crafted? Well, it's probably one of the more complex recipes. But what you need to do is you need to grab wait, what was I doing? You need to grab 6 cobblestone and place them in this kind of fashion. 1 bit of redstone dust, and 2 bits of nether quartz. Now, what does the observer do? The observer is actually meant to be the bud, equivalent of the bud system on PC. And if bud equals for block update detector, and if you don't know what that is it's as simple as it sounds. We place down a block, it updates the surrounding space, the observer detects it, and sends off a short pulse. And it's one of the more interesting blocks. And fun fact, it actually used to be way back in the original PE version. However, in the PC, it was only added at like 1.11. Next, we have what not really an item that is really redstone, but it's still redstone related, being the chest and the trap chests. However, you probably know what to do. Next, we have the node block, and well, you can set to what node it does when you place down a redstone signal. Next, we have, oh no, stupid chicken, and well, if you want to know, the crafting recipes are for a regular chest you need 8 wood in a circle shape, and for the trap one we need a tripwire hook and a regular chest. And yes, I know tripwire hooks are redstone, but they're not really important. We might go over them, but not for now. And node blocks are 8 wood, just like in a chest, but with redstone in the middle. But next comes probably the most interesting part: minecarts. Now, these and rails as well. However, we're actually going to tell you about them another time because, well, we think they require a specific video of their own. And finally, we have 2 of the most basic parts. First is the redstone lamp, which is basically a light source, and a redstone block, which is basically a permanent, non-switch off redstone torch. And so there we go, everybody. This is all the basic redstone components and explained to you in this video. We'll cover everything else in the future. We'll cover what kind of circuits you can make with them. We'll go over rails and maybe other redstone bits in the future. And once we discuss all that, we'll then get over to contraptions. That's when the fun will begin. But anyways, thank you for watching this hopefully educational to you video. Or dislike, that will be happily appreciated. And tell me in the comments below what do you think of this. And also, while they're not really necessary questions, we no longer need to do questions of the day, but I'll still make you a question. And are you good at redstone? Still tell me that in the comments below. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Peace out.